kidding me. You have got to be kidding me, man. The WNBA, y'all need to step in and put a stop to this. Please put a stop to this, man. We can't shake this lady. For whatever reason, it's almost just like Caitlin Clark can't escape Stephanie White. Caitlin Clark goes to Team USA. Stephanie White.
That response isn't hype or acceptance. It's shock layered with irritation. And it perfectly reflects how people online reacted the moment USA Network made their move. When the news dropped, fans realized that Elle Duncan, someone many Caitlin Clark supporters assumed they were done seeing after her exit from ESPN, is now officially leading USA Network's WNBA studio programming. At the exact time this channel is positioning itself as a serious force in women's basketball coverage, it chose to elevate one of the most polarizing personalities associated with the sport, and that decision immediately set off disbelief and backlash across social platforms.
We can't get away from her, man. We literally can't. Elle Duncan is slated to lead USA Network's WNBA studio coverage next season. Why? Now, look, I ain't knocking you for getting your money. I want everybody to get their money, but damn, man, we can't escape y'all. Golly, man. Why? Oh, she's getting crushed, too. She's getting crushed in the comments. That's a mistake. What a joke. Now we know they're not serious about basketball.
USA Sports revealed its complete on-air roster on Thursday, and the lineup feels less like something new and more like ESPN's WNBA presentation relocated to a different channel. Elle Duncan is set to anchor the studio coverage, joined by Renee Montgomery, the former Atlanta Dream standout, who now serves as a vice president within the organization. Play-by-play responsibilities will be handled by Kate Scott, known for her work with the Philadelphia 76ers, alongside Megan McPeak from the Washington Mystics. Sarah Costo takes the role of primary game analyst, with Paris Lawson and Adona Thesai completing the broadcast team. What gives this announcement real weight, though, is the bigger picture behind it. This move isn't simply about staffing a show. It represents NBC Universal laying the foundation for how it plans to present the WNBA well into the future. As part of the NBA's newly finalized media agreement involving NBC, ESPN, and Amazon, WNBA broadcast rights were included after NBC Universal reorganized its cable assets into a new entity called Versa, with USA Network designated as its sports platform. In plain terms, USA Network has now stepped into a central role in women's basketball coverage, and Elle Duncan has been selected as the face of that vision.
I am not happy with this decision here on Awful Announcing. It says USA Sports names WNBA broadcast team led by Elle Duncan. After leaving ESPN, Elle Duncan is going to be very busy. Duncan signed on to Netflix to be the face of streamers' sports coverage, and now she's going to add hosting duties for USA Sports coverage of the WNBA. One of Duncan's key roles at ESPN was hosting their acclaimed studio coverage for women's basketball.
A quick look at the comments made the reaction crystal clear, and it wasn't pretty at all. People immediately called the decision a blunder, mocked it outright, and questioned whether the network truly takes women's basketball seriously. The pushback hit fast and hard, especially from Caitlin Clark supporters, a group that now makes up a huge share of the WNBA's recent ratings explosion, who feel stuck watching a media figure they believe has repeatedly taken unfair shots at the player they follow. The timing only adds fuel to the fire, because Elle Duncan has also just locked in a deal with Netflix to front their sports content, meaning she's stepping onto two major platforms at the same moment. With the league currently riding historic momentum, largely powered by Caitlin Clark's star power, the visual of this move looks badly misaligned for an organization trying to maximize the biggest surge in attention and viewership it has ever seen.
New faces, new people. Y'all was better off getting, y'all should have called Rachel Demeter or somebody. Like, why we got to get these same people? Why we got to get these same people, man? Keita Love Sports could have got a chance or something. I don't know. Why we got to keep getting these same people, man? Shout out to the independent creators, man. Shout out to y'all. In the broadcast booth, USA has hired Philadelphia 76ers announcer Kate Scott and Washington Mystics voice Megan McPeak to be the play-by-play announcers. Next, analyst Sarah.
You can hear the annoyance clearly when people ask why new talent never gets a real chance. And that question isn't unreasonable. The league is drawing in first-time viewers, setting audience milestones, and pulling attention from people who previously ignored women's basketball, which made this moment ideal to introduce fresh on-air personalities who actually connect with that evolving crowd and aren't weighed down by past disputes. Instead, USA Network played it safe and recycled the same voices, the same viewpoints, and the same media figures who have always covered the league from a conventional sports broadcasting angle. Names like Rachel to get brought up as examples of someone who could have injected a different tone, while independent creators who helped drive interest in Caitlin Clark and the league's recent rise were completely left out. Faced with a clear shift in who is watching and why, the network had an opening to acknowledge that change and chose to act as if nothing about the audience had shifted at all.
I'm actually furious about it. We already got to deal with Shinny and them on we already got to deal with them on ESPN, and it's just like, come on, man. Why can't we escape the lady, man? The people are not happy about it. Like, she's getting, it's a lot of people. Look at this right here, man. Thumbs down. She's miserable. Caitlin Clark fans are pissed. They thought she was gone for good. Hashtag WNBA. You see what I'm saying, man? And then this is the broadcast team.
While attention is locked on the Elle Duncan decision, a much larger problem is quietly forming that could shape how the sport is followed in the coming months. Talks around the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement have hit a standstill, bringing everything else to a halt. Player movement is paused, roster decisions are stuck, and athletes are left waiting with no clarity, all as March Madness draws closer. That timing creates an unusual overlap in women's basketball coverage. Typically, the season unfolds in a clean sequence, with college play ramping up to the NCAA tournament, followed by the WNBA draft, training camps, and the start of the pro schedule, creating a steady storyline that holds fan interest nearly year-round. This year, that rhythm is broken. Instead of a smooth handoff from college to professional basketball, unresolved WNBA contract issues are set to collide directly with the NCAA tournament, forcing fans and media to juggle discussions about stalled pro negotiations at the same time college athletes are battling for a national title.
Women's basketball has always been a flow. This and then this and then this and then this. The tournament and then the WNBA draft and then training camp and then the WNBA season, etc. That'll just be jumbled. I think, also like men's basketball does this, right? Like NBA is fighting for playoff positioning during the tournament. Does that hurt the men's tournament? I don't know. Like maybe this is just a litmus test for where women's basketball is. But I think the bigger thing for the WNBA and its league office and its teams and its players are games are not, like the season is not at stake yet, but certainly like there's not a lot of time left in the capsule.
Right. And things are coming.
This is the real issue, and it goes far beyond a simple clash on the calendar. What's unfolding is a measure of how strong women's basketball truly is as a marketable product. The NBA faces a similar overlap every season, with playoff races running alongside March Madness. Yet the men's college tournament doesn't suffer because both leagues have long established independent audiences that comfortably exist at the same time. Women's basketball doesn't have that separation yet. The WNBA is still growing its reach, and a large share of its viewers are the same people who closely follow the college game. When Caitlin Clark was at Iowa, she pulled in millions of new viewers who had never paid attention to the WNBA, and many of those fans carried that interest with her to the Indiana Fever. That shared audience is currently the league's most valuable resource. The uncertainty now is what happens when WNBA free agency headlines are fighting for attention during March Madness. Will viewers prioritize one storyline over the other? Will labor issues in the pro league steal focus from the biggest event in the college season? Or will the tournament's energy push the WNBA's problems into the background? There's no clear answer because women's basketball has never navigated this kind of overlap before.
Of all of this, from my feelings, I don't feel better today about the CBA negotiations coming to an agreement than I did last week. I feel significantly worse, actually, because if the WNBPA and the league felt like they were so close, felt like, okay, we're agreeing on things, we are ticking boxes, we're being productive, we're getting stuff done here, there would have been a deadline. Or at least an extension. I believe that, hey, we just give us 2 more weeks. Give us 2 more weeks to finish these final few things, to tie up a few loose ends.
That conclusion may sound harsh, but it lines up with reality. The talks are clearly nowhere near resolution, because if the league and the Players Association believed real momentum existed, they would have rolled out a brief extension and framed it as needing a little extra time to close the gap. That's standard practice when both sides can see the end point. Instead, what we got was a hard pause with all activity locked down and no schedule for when things might move again. That signals stagnation, not progress. Situations like this don't happen when negotiations are healthy. They happen when core disagreements remain untouched. Issues like how revenue is divided, how pay is structured, how free agency works, and even basic travel standards are still on the table. And those are not small points that can be resolved quickly. They are structural questions that shape the entire operation of the league. And the fact they're still unresolved explains why everything has come to a standstill.
It's not good at all. And now it's going to affect the tournament. It's affecting the whole flow of everything, man. But get down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think, man. I am not happy about this Elle Duncan situation. I got to be completely honest with y'all. Get down in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. And let's keep the vision. Make sure you...
Here's the unfiltered reality of the situation. The WNBA is in the middle of the largest expansion of attention it has ever seen, fueled overwhelmingly by Caitlin Clark's entrance and the massive audience she carried with her. Viewership numbers are climbing, arenas are filling, merchandise is moving, and a major media rights agreement has placed games across NBC, ESPN, and Amazon, creating the appearance of a league finally breaking through. Beneath that surface, though, serious cracks are forming. Ongoing collective bargaining talks expose a deep divide between players and ownership over how this new money should be allocated, and the resulting freeze has stopped teams from shaping next season's rosters, disrupted competitive planning, and left free agents unable to make basic career decisions. At the same time, efforts to control the public narrative by recycling familiar media figures onto new platforms are producing the opposite effect, with USA Network's decision to put Elle Duncan front and center triggering intense backlash rather than trust. The intent was to add an experienced and established voice, but the response shows a growing disconnect as fans flood comment sections with frustration, feeling ignored rather than represented. That reaction points to the real issue, which isn't one broadcaster or one stalled negotiation, but a league struggling to understand who its audience actually is right now. For years, the WNBA operated in survival mode with limited exposure, relying on a small group of loyal media partners who covered the league when few others cared, and that loyalty is understandable. The problem is that the fans driving today's growth are not the same people who followed the league a decade ago. Millions of new viewers arrived through Caitlin Clark, and they bring different expectations about coverage, tone, and perceived fairness. They don't value long-standing media relationships the same way the league does, and they don't respond well to voices they believe minimize or dismiss the player who drew them in. The league is now split between its traditional supporters and a newer, louder audience that doesn't always want the same things, and media partners are learning that pleasing both at once may be impossible. USA Network's choice makes clear which group they're prioritizing, favoring institutional credibility and historical familiarity over resonance with the current surge of fans. That strategy might pay off years from now if newer viewers eventually adapt. But in the present moment, it looks badly timed. especially with social reaction overwhelmingly negative and enthusiasm turning into resentment. The labor standoff only amplifies the damage, because instead of riding momentum with exciting roster moves, new storylines, and expansion buzz, the conversation is dominated by frozen negotiations and uncertainty about the season itself. This window matters more than any other because it's when casual viewers decide whether they're staying or leaving, and right now the league looks unprepared to meet that test. Elle Duncan will move forward in her role. The network will stand by its decision, and the labor dispute will eventually end one way or another. But the lingering question is whether the WNBA truly recognizes the expectations of the audience, now driving its success, and whether it's willing to adapt before this growth wave fades faster than anyone expects.